the other thing was the house. I think Yumiko and I have, I think we've nailed it. I think we found the house that we want. A little bit different, not quite the house that we probably had in mind originally, but in the end, I think it's actually the one. Let's let the dog growl for a little bit. There's some noise out there. Here's the thing. When we set out to find a house in Japan to buy, we had this vision of we wanted an old house, an old style house, traditional architecture. Yeah, we know all the issues related to that. My wife grew up in such a house, and so it's not unfamiliar to us. We also wanted to be, this is almost in terms of the priority of what we wanted. We wanted a house that would be within around 20 to 30 minutes drive to my wife's parents' house. We also wanted a house that would be within 10 or 15 minutes of amenities, namely shopping, clinic, and train stations. We really wanted a house with a garden, someplace where we could putter and enjoy making a kitchen garden, flowers, all the things that older people like, younger people too. It's been over a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years now that we've been searching. And Yumiko and I have a pretty good list of candidate homes that we've looked at. Just a second. One of my professors in college once told me the importance of having margins in life. He was referring to on the page, the margin around the text. He described that margin gave the reader space to hold the written word in their mind. And that really dug in. And when I pick up books to read, I often look at them and look at the margins and how well they were thought out. My friend Juan, my mentor Juan, if he sees this, he'll certainly get that. Sometimes it's also, and I've held this in my mind for so many decades now that I see it elsewhere. I like to insert margins everywhere, like just now with a little bit of a margin, putting a log on the fire to give this thought room to breathe, to expand, to fill the space. Basically, here's the thing. With regard to the houses, I just started listing the criteria. We wanted an old house, traditional house, more or less. Not just old, but traditional style architecture. We wanted a house that was built the old-fashioned way. Big beams, joints instead of nails, traditional Japanese style rooms. We wanted a domo, earthen floor, the whole kit and caboodle, warts and all. Remember, we're going to be older. We're not in our child rearing years anymore. We've got time. We can deal with an old house like this. But we also wanted it to be convenient to the city, to family, to clinics, hospitals, and to train stations. And we wanted a garden, like I said. Now, in this catalog of homes that we've acquired, we've been visiting them. We went there in February 2023. We visited over a dozen homes in a bunch of communities. since Yumiko's gotten back, she's visited several houses and brought me along by video. And we've already determined, we even came up with a map of the Shizuoka area, of the target area. And we realized that in every case, something had to give. You know, in project management, we say there's 3 main factors in every project, and you get to pick 2. Those factors are budget, time, and, oh gosh, I guess it's good I'm at the end of my career. I can't remember. Was it scope? The amount of stuff that you get. Quality, that's right. Budget, time, and quality, right? Budget, time, and quality. Pick 2. You either get quality and budget, but it takes a lot of time. That's the thing you lose. Or if you want it fast, then if you want it fast and you want it high quality, then you got to pay a lot of money. You're not going to get a budget. You see where this is headed, right? Pick 2. We quickly realized, I didn't say it very well though. We quickly realized that our house hunting endeavor is roughly the same thing. It's either tradition. Let's just use the word tradition to describe a traditional old house, you know, with a garden. Let's say a traditional house with a garden. Tradition, convenience, or budget. Because we do have a budget for this whole house hunting thing. We have a budget for the house, the remodeling, furnishing, everything, right? We have a budget, so we want to stick with that budget. Like I said, we're retirees. We're going to be living on a fixed income soon. So, tradition, meaning the house, traditional house with the garden, location, or budget. We found that if with lots and lots of houses that met the traditional needs, and that were within our budget, but they were not within the location. They were 40 minutes, an hour out in the countryside. Lots of houses out there like that. So many beautiful ones, but just too far away. Location is not good. So we found that if we get closer to the city, we can still find those houses, but they become far more expensive quickly. To find a traditional old house with enough land for a garden, you know, within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the city, it's way out of our budget. So then you see where this is headed, right? Nowhere we went, none of the houses we looked at could we find quite what we were after. Until now. A little bit of a sleeper house. This Michiya, Japanese townhouse that we're looking at, that we're angling towards buying, has surprisingly met all of those criteria. It's traditional. It's within our budget. It's and close to and location is perfect. I mean, it's a short drive to Dad's house. The train stations are nearby, both the JR train station and the local Shizutetsu line station is nearby as well. All the amenities are nearby. Walking distance, 2 minutes to the supermarket, 2 minutes to the convenience store, 2 minutes to the drugstore, 3-4 minutes to the water's edge at the harbor, right? You go sit by the fishing boats and look at Mount Fuji. The only thing that it was missing was a yard. But this house is on a big lot that extends. It's one of these old Edo period lots that extends way back. It was at the home of tatami yasan, so tatami maker, you know, the Japanese floor mats. They sold those mats in the Michiya, the shop room up in the front of the store. And then they made the mats in a 2-story warehouse / factory in the back of the house. A factory, right? You know, family-run factory in the back. Now, between the factory place in the back and the house, the proper house in the front, it takes up the whole of this long, narrow Edo period style lot. I mean, there's a courtyard in the middle that has open air, but it's pretty big, but that's about it. So here's the thing. Yumiko and I realized that or we had a thought that even though the main house is a traditional Japanese style architecture, the house in the back wasn't built the same way. It's an old house too. It's an old structure too, made of beautiful old beams, but it's not the same as the place up front. Here's the thing. What if we demolish the structure in the back to make way for a garden? Oh no, well, probably now I can hear some people protesting. How can you do that? Demolish the old house. But hear me out on this just a little bit. Here's the thing. This combination of the house in the front and the factory thing in the back spoke to an era when we had the home artisan, right? I mean, my wife's father's like this. He was a tatagu, the maker of shoji and fusuma, doors and windows. And he had his shop in the back and his residence in the front. That model of life is less common now, far less common. And this piece of land that we would buy has a structure in the back that would go largely unused, probably by just about anybody that would use it in the modern paradigm of life. So therefore, the back building would become just a cluttered garage, probably in most cases. Maybe you could find a rare case where you could find somebody that could utilize it as said. Yeah, and you're probably protesting out there saying, well, use all kinds. You could use it as an art studio, a potter's shed. You could do all kinds of stuff. And yeah, you're right. You could do all that. But how about this? What if we just demolish that thing in the back, which would clear the way for an enormous urban garden? Have the house in the front with the traditional art, it's all the traditional marks, right smack in the middle of the city on the old Tokaido Highway. Literally, the house fronts onto the most famous road in Japan. Amenities everywhere. And if we just demolish the house in the back, we have the garden. And it's all within our budget. Part of the reason that it's within our budget is that the house is pretty competitively priced, I think, because of the way that the lot is currently configured with that structure in the back, which almost anybody that would come see the place would see it and say, well, this is a great place, but what the hell am I going to do with that thing in back, right? So by virtue of the fact that it's not a desirable configuration, and it is pretty expensive to have that place removed, nobody would really want it, and then the price drops, right? Probably they could have a better job of selling it if they just have the place in front, but it's like being saddled with this thing in the back. So Yumiko and I think, we'll just get rid of it. Then we'll be left with, but then we're left with a house that hits all our marks. It's traditional, it's convenient, and it's within our budget, well within our budget. One last thing. We will, if we go forward with an offer, we'll offer to buy the place with all of the furniture in it. It's got everything in it. And then we'll use some time, because we're going over there. We're starting in Japan with nothing. We have nothing. We're bringing no furniture with us. We're just bringing his clothes on our backs. Then we can furnish the house from what remains and get rid of the rest. That's still within budget too, to get rid of it. It's a win-win-win. We got the quote for the demolition today, and it's reasonable. We can do it. Next up is a full inspection. Have a professional house inspector come in and look at the place. Looking for structural issues with the roof, which I know are structural. Pests. These would include, of course, termites and rats, things like that. We want to know about if the electrical system has issues or dangers, as well as the plumbing, and also we want to know about asbestos, if there's any evidence of asbestos in the house. And incumbent in all of that is basic understanding is, are we in danger of having the place collapse upon us with the next earthquake? And this could end the whole deal, right? I mean, if it turns out that there's some colossal problem with the structure, then we won't buy it, but that inspection will happen next week. And if we get results that are within our scope of our needs, and if there's issues, there are issues we can fix, still within our budget, then this might be the one. Okay, this stone is complete.